Research tells us that there are 7 principles of learning, and we'll have a look at these one by one right now. One of the first principles is prior learning. It is our prior knowledge, what we already know, and experiences that determine how we see and interpret the world around us. It is what we already know that determines what we can then learn. It allows us to set a goal and monitor progress towards that goal. Here's an example of concepts that need to have been learned previously before an individual can attempt a specific module. An important aspect is misconceptions. These can lead to false foundations on which, if we build, can be difficult to correct later. That is why it is important to identify these misconceptions as early as possible. So, misconceptions and knowledge gaps will notify you of what people are able to understand. To leverage our students' prior learning, we can use a pre-training survey. We can get to know our audience, their background, roles, their motivation for their work or for attending the training. A second principle is organized knowledge. I'm not going to go into the biological level of how the brain works with neurons or neural connections, but at another level, the same principle applies. We learn the basic concepts of a topic and then connect these concepts with relationships, creating what is called a concept map or mental model. Sometimes an expert, someone who knows their subject very well, has difficulty conveying that understanding to the students unless they break their concept map, their understanding of the subject, into simpler pieces. This is an example of a concept map. So, I have an understanding of what a Pi server is, what it includes, system management tools, Pi Builder, Pi System Explorer, and I also have an understanding of what each of these tools can do. The Pi Builder can create or edit Pi points. The Pi System Explorer includes the AF user interface. But if you're not familiar with the Pi system or the concepts I'm talking about, you're going to be very confused. So you have to go through this map very gradually, breaking it up into individual segments, discussing or presenting on these, and then proceeding and building out that concept map. And although it's more effective for students to structure their own concept map as they're learning, providing a starting point is always useful. A metaphor for concept maps is that of a wardrobe. For the expert, the wardrobe is very well organized. They know where to find the shirts and socks, but for the novice, there's a lot less structure. Therefore, a concept map, or mental model, can serve as a blueprint for novices to structure their understanding in a similar way and helps them familiarize with a topic. Motivation is what directs and sustains what people are willing to do and learn. We'll talk more about motivation later on, but as a quick preview, motivation includes aspects such as rewards, progress, and recognition. Being motivated is absolutely fundamental in being able to learn something. The final 4 principles of learning are mastery, feedback, climate, and metacognition. Mastery means that being good at anything requires practice, repetition, and increasing levels of challenge. The main idea is to help learners recognize their learning gaps, even things they don't know. That's why our workshops feature plenty of hands-on opportunities. Feedback. One of the most important aspects of any learning experience. It's very valuable to have an external point of view for our learning progress, often attributed to a coach, trainer, or teacher. It helps learners identify alternative approaches, and it can motivate and encourage. The environment itself can also offer feedback as a natural response. It's very effective to learn from our mistakes, but also important to provide a safe space to experiment, like our VMs, for example. Climate is one of the trickier aspects to get right, because it's the result of many factors. The idea is to create a space that is conducive to learning. Do people feel respected, valued, encouraged to ask questions? climate is affected by trainer tone, stereotypes, audience demographics, levels of understanding. Strategies for a healthier climate include establishing ground rules for interaction, for example, through an online forum, getting direct feedback, and using diverse examples. Metacognition means being aware of one's learning process, monitor progress, identify challenges and problem solving against them. Novice learners need the most support, but gradually they should be allowed to take control of their learning. It means more responsibility, self-assessing progress, identifying approaches that work or not. Strategies here include think out loud, where you're vocalizing what you're thinking as you're solving a problem, offering checklists of tasks, and peer assessment.